I don't know which one of these should we do.
This Candace Owens clip we didn't get to yesterday is it in the sheet, Bradley?
Yeah, this is number 8, right?
Yeah.
Candace Owens continues to say the most bat crap crazy stuff in the world.
This is crazy because she had been implying heavily this conspiracy theory that was circling on 4chan that the Uvalde shooter was a trans woman. And it was, Binder did this whole deep dive into it. The trans woman it was just completely came out of nowhere.
It was 4chan fabrication.
Right. They took her photos from her social media and were circulating it all over through these right-wing blogs. And Candace Owens and Paul Gosar both repeated this conspiracy theory, alluding to it on Twitter. And I thought that she might have been threatened with suspension or something like that because this is so blatant. But it seems like she's still on this.
I think, I would love to see someone study how somebody sort of walks, not back these, complete fabrications, but like sort of lands them. Like, remember like Tucker with the NSA was out to get him. And then all of a sudden, like, he just sort of like, he steps down. It steps down. It's almost like a soft landing for these things.
Like the Ray Epps thing.
Yeah.
Well, Candace Owens said, what's his name? Bob Saget.
Oh,
like,
yep.
His death was some sort of COVID vaccine thing, and it was just his head.
Yeah.
And like that, and then she just the way
drop
you
it.
address it is you just don't talk about it ever again.
Well, but Candace Owens is still sort of like playing with the vapors of this.
Exactly.
And part of it is because this isn't just straight conspiracy theory. This is also dovetails into movement, right-wing, conservative talking points.
Think about how weird it is. We are all being shown just one picture of the shooter. And the media came out and they instantly said, this guy was not trans. The right-wing talking point is that this guy was a transgendered person and that's a lie, right? They came out and they attacked me. They said that I shared or was referencing a false photo of a different trans person. That never happened. I never shared a single photo of the shooter. I saw images that were circulating all over the web. Even the one image that they show, you see him pursing his lips, standing to the side. And I said, it's very obvious that this should be considered a symptom, right? It is not normal for an adult man to want to dress like or look like a female. That is telling you that there is something going on in this household, that this person is perhaps being targeted by unstable adults in their household or within the school system. If we were a rational society, we would look for clues leading up. We would acknowledge that having a bunch of grown men that suddenly want to dress like little girls in our society isn't normal. That would be a clue. But nope, the job of the media is to hide that truth, right? So instead, they are showing us one photo of the shooter, and they are using terms now and saying that, well, he wasn't trans, but as the Daily Mail put it, he was alternative.
The reason they're circulating that one photo is because, as people have reported, he only had one photo on his social media. He had deleted everything else beside the gun photos that he'd posted. So they're using that same photo over and over again. But like, look at the logical leaps there. It's just they're really trying to. Just a real quick point. The emphasis on mental health that they keep reiterating is the reason that someone like Candace Owens is making the connection. Who knows? The shooter was probably trans. Could be. Even though the origin, the genesis of this conspiracy theory is complete garbage, nonsense, proven. But they want to portray trans people as dangerous, groomers for your kids, but also maybe they'll shoot up a school. And two, that they're mentally unstable. And that's what leads to the prior two actions.
Right. It is, and I would say, I mean, like, even before, the idea that a trans person would commit an act like this, and that is indicative of trans people. If that was the case, we should be locking up every white person, because there has been an overwhelming number of white cis males who have committed atrocities like this. But yes, everything else, it's a twofer. It almost like she doesn't even need it to have been a trans person for her now to launder this idea, and this is the idea that was laundered for decades with gay people, that this is a psychological a psychological disease. I mean, at one point, like, homosexuality was in the whatever the therapy book
The American Medical Association, or the
whatever the diagnostics,
whatever, yeah,
exactly,
right.
the psychological
The
diagnostics.
DSM, yeah.
Yes.
DSM.
And this has been the project of the right that we have seen. And this brings up this point too. Separate topic, but same theme. All of the talk that we have heard of the people who are talking in nuance about how trans ideology is taking over and is now becoming problematic because it is, jeopardizing the futures of children in some fashion. It's all sort of some vague thing. Like, I don't like the medical protocols from this country or that country in the way that trans people are being treated. And it's a very nuanced topic that I just also happen to tweet about, because it's such a nuanced topic that I can actually express these opinions in 140 characters or 280 characters, whatever it is. You hear that whether they're writing for The Atlantic, whether they are, whether they're, they got their podcasts, or whether they're part of like some burgeoning IDW where I'm the only one who is willing to take on the, trans mafia and expose what they're doing. And I'm so concerned about trans rapists in, female prisons. I've never been concerned about guards raping female prisoners. I've never been concerned about rape in prisons ever since before this. But I'm so concerned about the integrity of, Division III, field hockey, and who's going to be the championship. And, this has just become a really important topic for me. All these people who have pretended like you people don't understand what's happening to society. And then when you try and say like, hey, you're just really trafficking in bigotry, you don't understand the nuances here.
And I'm brave enough to
I'm
say
brave
it.
enough to do this.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It has started. Florida announces the end of Medicaid coverage, not just for trans medical care for children, but now for adults. And the whole project here is to pathologize trans people and to basically say we're going to put this back in the the psychological DMS or whatever it is. Yep. And to make sure that there's no normalization, that these people who are on the margins of society, as evidenced by the fact that you can be fired for being trans, you can be kept from housing for being trans, you can be harassed, you can be murdered, the epidemic of suicide ideation amongst these people and suicide can be ignored. All of that. And
it's the Hyde amendification of trans healthcare, right? Which is that we're going to, through the government, section off or make it more difficult for you to access healthcare. So we stigmatize abortion in terms of the Hyde Amendment, so that there can't be funds for it, federal funds. And then in the same way as these state legislatures are going to do it, we're going to make it really difficult for trans people to access healthcare in our state.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Oh, well, that was not my intention. I was just trying to bring up integrity in Division III field hockey. It's not my fault that Florida did this. I was talking about Division III field hockey and the integrity of the championship teams.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. So just to dispense with Candace Owens' legal defense there, where she says she never shared a photo, she alluded to a photo of the supposed shooter cross-dressing while that fake was going around, and she hasn't produced any of the actual photos that she says warrants her making that claim originally. So she's a liar, and Twitter should ban her. I don't, she should be banned for that. That's disgusting.
Well, and if she had shared the
you
photo...
McCarthyite!
Right.
Very well.
if she had shared that photo, she would have opened herself up to litigation. So like she's just she's dancing on that line,
What
and
photos did
hoping
she
that
see?
you're too stupid.
How about you share the photos you saw then? Okay, if it wasn't that photo, what photos was
Right.
it?
Secret photos. Secret photos.
She's despicable.